And for our final segment, if you want to choose another candidate and ask them a question, think about the question. We'll go in this order: Carolyn, Alfonso, Shaker, Andy, Fatima. So let's start with you, Carolyn, if you want to choose someone and ask them a question.
Thank you. This is the first time we get to do this, so kind of exciting. I would like to ask Shaker a question. How do you feel about your Hotel Trades Council endorsement, especially since they help push unequal and the bad Flushing rezoning development and their endorsement of mayoral candidate Eric Adams?
I'm proud to stand with hotel workers in our city, many of whom are workers from our own immigrant communities of Jackson Heights and Elmhurst, where we have one of the largest hotel worker resident populations in our city, and many were our frontline essential workers during our pandemic too. And we need to make sure it's critical, and that's why I want to fight to make sure, and I have a plan to fight to make sure that our hotel workers returning to work after this pandemic are protected, and their jobs are protected, and their job status is protected when they return to work. As someone who is staunchly against the Flushing rezoning, and the only candidate in this race to publish an op-ed speaking out against it too, I believe that rezonings that really are luxury rezonings that further displace our communities, immigrant neighborhoods, are unacceptable. And we have to make sure that in our city, in fact, we are not allowing such luxury development in our city. And that's something that I've always stood against too. But I do think that it's critical that from a housing justice standpoint, we're doing far more to actually protect truly tenants in our city, and making sure that no rezonings or development in our city further displaces communities like ours in Jackson Heights and Elmhurst.
And next, Andy, if you want to choose someone and ask them a question.
This is tough. So I'm going to ask Shaker. How many years have you been living in the district, and what have you done for this community besides something that you getting paid for this community?
As a longtime resident of a decade in this neighborhood too, and as someone who has never done any paid work in this community, I have a full-time job as a civil rights lawyer, fighting for housing justice across our city and against housing discrimination. All the work that I've done in this community has been totally as an activist, as a volunteer, and in my capacity that's strongly believing that we need to make sure the neighborhoods like ours, that were our frontline essential communities, are the ones that are prioritized when it comes to services from our city, especially after this pandemic. I don't think it was any accident that we were the epicenter of this pandemic. I think it was a result of decades of investment in our neighborhoods of Jackson Heights and Elmhurst. Knowing that, as someone who's fought for housing justice in this city, in our neighborhoods and in some of the poorest communities of this city, and knowing, as I said before, that housing is the most central crisis because it connects to every other crisis around us, I think it is critical that in facing these issues of systemic inequality, that our neighborhoods of Jackson Heights and Elmhurst get so much more in the resources and services that we deserve, from housing to our immigrant communities, to our workers, to open space, to our public schools as a public school parent as well. And that's what I plan to fight for in the city council too.
Can you answer us directly, how many years have you lived in the district?
I think I answered the question.
It's a long time, but you didn't be specific how many years.
I think I was specific.
Can you just answer how many years?
I think I did say, if you listen to my answer, how many years.
You said a decade, Andy. Yeah. I'm not sure if Shaker did say the specific work he did, though. Aside from, your work at Communities Resist. Do you want to give a specific example? Do you want to hear that?
In our communities?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, in addition to helping a number of tenants in our neighborhoods who have been harassed by their landlords or are facing eviction, in addition to, I've also fought for our public schools in our community as a public school parent myself. I've stood with our LGBTQIA plus communities over the years to fight against transphobia and homophobia in our communities too. I've worked with many of our small businesses in our neighborhoods too that are seeking language accessible services both during COVID and before too. I'm the co-founder of Friends of Diversity Plaza, a cherished open space in our community that didn't start that way when we started this work. It was utterly hated before, but it's now one of our most vital open spaces in our community. And I've done a lot of work for safe streets in our neighborhood over the years too, standing with so many activists over the years to find ways to make our neighborhood and our streets far safer for children like my own, for seniors, fighting for open space, expanding Traverse Park in our community as well. I'll stop there, although I could keep going.
Did that answer your question, Andy? Yeah, you're good. Okay.
So I would also like to direct my question to Shaker. I have a little bit of a longer question, so please bear with me. So my question to Shaker is, who did you co-found Friends of Diversity Plaza with, and what did you accomplish other than being a representative of Daniel Drum? My family contributed fiscally for the first 3 years as a paying back sentiment to the community, and we feel that in many ways you are using our work as your own, and you didn't come to the table to have a discussion with us ever in the past decade that you've been here. So how do you respond to those people who feel this way within the community, and other voters and people like myself and my family who have existed here for a long time, and not only contributed their blood, sweat, and tears to the development of Diversity Plaza, but to making sure that this neighborhood is not gentrified? So how do you respond to those people, and can you please answer these questions?
I think, Fatima, you and your parents and Suki New York have done extraordinary work with Diversity Plaza. And I've been proud to work with you all for so many years too, on many different issues, from co-organizing events together at Diversity Plaza to together advocating for more resources from our city for Diversity Plaza, and finding ways to stand together against a lot of criticism over the years for Diversity Plaza, to help transform it into the space it is today through an inclusive planning process over the years too. And I think that, it's a larger point. I think we've all seen it too, Fatima, and in that context we know each other. But in the years that we've done work together too, I think we've all seen, and we can agree that open space in this city, there's a deep issue when it comes to inequities, where other neighborhoods in our city get far more in services and resources for public space. And whereas neighborhoods like ours with Diversity Plaza don't get those resources. And we've had to really fight and advocate against a city government that was often unresponsive to us when it came to things like sanitation services for Diversity Plaza, when it came to navigating a very bureaucratic permitting process for Diversity Plaza, finding ways to keep events organized at the plaza. And I think that's the work really ahead of us too, is to make sure that in our city, we do a much better job of our city providing resources and services for public spaces like Diversity Plaza, grassroots spaces that need far more attention and services from the city than the city has provided up till this day.
Thank you. And now to our closing remarks.
I just want to say one thing. You didn't answer, who did you found Friends of Diversity Plaza with? Friends of Diversity Plaza. Who did you co-found it with?
It's been a coalition of neighborhood residents, community activists, those from neighbors who live or work around Diversity Plaza, LGBTQ residents as well. It's been a broad cross-section of support, and I know Suki New York has also worked with us closely and knows many of the individuals involved in Friends of Diversity Plaza, because we've worked together over the years, and look forward to continuing that work too.
So what year did you do this in?
Is this one question, or are we going to keep going cross-examination?
Yeah, Fatima, can you just ask one last question, and that'll be the last one for this?
But you didn't say who specifically is the person with you or the people with you in Friends of Diversity Plaza. And
well, I think that there's been a whole number of coalition residents who have worked together around Diversity Plaza, and I consider all of them to be co-founders. We were in meetings together in the very beginning in 2012 and 2013 when Friends of Diversity Plaza first formed too, about ways together to think about how we address the plaza and can build public support for the plaza. And I consider all of those as part of Friends of Diversity Plaza. And Suki New York too, who's been a great partner of ours over the years as well. And you too, Fatima.
Great. So for closing remarks, 1 minute each, just wrap up. Fatima, you can go first.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So as someone who wants to be the next city council member in District 25, I think that it's important that we are truthful and honest about our positions and make sure that we are accountable from the very beginning. And I don't believe that many of the, not many, but one of the candidates is being very truthful about his position on the question I just asked him. But moving forward from that, I think that it's important as an individual who is 23 years old, that that wants a better neighborhood overall in this neighborhood, and I want to make sure that everybody's included in the conversation. I'm all ears. I think it's important that we're all on one page as a community about who we want to elect, who wants to be the next voice, and we want to make sure that when we ask questions of each other that people are honest. And as a candidate running for city council, we only amplify who we truly are, and so I think it's very obvious to the public who these people are. And I just want to go back to the question that Shaker said. I have a little piece of paper here that says this is something that Suki New York gave to Friends of Diversity Plaza, and it says Andrew Bonan's name on there. And so this piece of paper is a
You want to just wrap up,
done in this neighborhood. And sorry for
if you want to just wrap up, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that it's important that whoever we elect is a true representative voice for everybody, and is willing to work with other opponents regardless of our differences.
Thank you. Next, Andy, 1 minute.
Sure. First of all, thank you, Christine, and APA Voice, and all the translators, and all the organizers organizing so many amazing events tonight. And we all know it's fun tonight. Like I say, by closing, I just want to say, this year's election is the most critical one, and we are really need to be careful who we're voting for. People are looking for change, and people are looking for someone who can fight. People are looking for someone who never hiding or abandoning the community when the community needs the most, just like during the pandemic. We all need to be honest and ask our question, where were you? What have you done for this community during the pandemic? People deserve the effective leadership who has comprehensive plan and the ability who can deliver the needs for the people. The policy is only good as people can deliver. Are we voting for someone who truly showed their leadership and commitment for the last few years of voluntarily serving the community, helping the people, or just running for office for their special interest, or just to get a job? Right? I don't own any debt to anyone. I do not own any debt to any political machine, but a debt for a better future for my community, District 25, Emerson, Jackson High. I show myself as an effective community leader to bring the
You want to wrap up, Andy?
community to District 25. So I am counting on you to voting for me. I get things done. I see you all for a better future of Emerson, Jackson High, and moving forward.
Thank you. Next, Alfonso, 1 minute to wrap up.
100 years from now, historians are going to look back at New York City, and they're going to see a city that was reimagined and rebuilt. And the neighborhoods that are going to do that are our neighborhoods. And the people that are going to do that are us. Now is our time to act. Now is our time to move forward. And I believe that I'm the best candidate to do that. Running for office doesn't change who you are. It reveals who you are. And if you can't be truthful on something like co-founding Diversity Plaza, how can we trust you by leading our community? I think I have the authenticity, compassion, and experience that it will take to move this community forward. And that's why I'm asking for your support on June 22nd.